guys, welcome to the best books of November. I haven't been doing a lot of videos. I'm going to try to get back into it, but I will try to get this one done in a somewhat timely manner, only a couple weeks after November ended. I really didn't have a lot of books that I read in November and really loved. I only have 3 here to talk about. The first one that I read and really enjoyed was Binti the Night Masquerade by Nnedi Okorafor, and that is the 3rd and final book in the Binti trilogy. This is a science fiction kind of Afrofuturism sort of series about a young girl named Binti. I really enjoyed this one just because Binti grows a lot throughout the series in what she starts as, which is kind of a girl running away from home to attend university, to what she ends up as, which is some mesh of multiple alien races that's kind of unifying many different races and ways of life. Is very intriguing, and I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well written. I did listen to these on audiobook, and I enjoyed them immensely. They are a little bit, so the narrator has a pretty heavy accent that fits really well with the story, but when there's background noise, it can be a little bit hard to hear what she's saying at times. But anyways, I thought it was very well done. And I really enjoyed the whole Binti series, so I would recommend that if you are interested at all in like a sci-fi. It's more of a kind of space opera type of thing. There's a lot of alien races and kind of a bit of a political struggle going on, and a lot of it's just a coming of age story for Binti. All right, the next book that I read and really enjoyed is Virtual Evil by Jana Oliver, and this is the 2nd book in the Time Rovers series. Oliver's Demon Trappers series is much more popular, and that came out quite a while ago, but was a very good like urban fantasy kind of futuristic type series. Time Rovers is a series that is both set in Victorian London and in the 2050s, so in the near future. Time travel has been discovered in 2050, and I probably talked about the background of this book for my last month because I really liked the first book too in the series. In 2050, time travel has been invented. These time rovers either can take people to go back and see the history, or they can go back and retrieve history tourists that haven't come back on time. Right now we are in kind of Jack the Ripper time frame, and our main character Jacinda gets sent back to retrieve a tourist in the first book. In the second book, you basically find out that there's more at play here. There's a race of these people called transitives that can change shape to look like other humans, and they're kind of shapeshifters, but they shapeshift into other humans. And there is some political stuff going on in like the 2050s that is making the timeline in the Victorian London time period, the Jack the Ripper time frame, go kind of off the rails. And because time is going off the rails back in the Victorian time, is going to change everything in the future, and they're trying to prevent that. So this is just a very creative premise. It's very well done. The world back in Victorian London is very interesting. The idea of these transitives getting involved in all the politics and all that is very intriguing. What's going on in 2050 is very interesting. The characters are very well done. I actually just finished this series, and I really like the 3rd book as well, so spoiler alert there. But and the way it all comes together is very intriguing, and I thought it was interesting in the afterword for the final book. Oliver said this was supposed to be like some sort of torrid romance type of thing, but it is really not that at all. There's a very intricate plot here, some very interesting world building, and the way the whole mystery ties together between the future and the past is just really intriguing. So yeah, I really like that one. And if you're at all interested in like, I'm actually not a huge fan of time travel stories because there's just too many loopholes. It's very hard for authors to like keep track of all of that. But in this case, I really did enjoy it. It's a very creative premise, and it's very well done, and the characters are very entertaining, and there's some action and a good mystery, and it's just a very well balanced story. So yeah, I would recommend picking up the Time Rovers if you at all like Oliver as a of the writer. All right, then the last one that I read that I really enjoyed, and I did give this one 5 stars, but I almost didn't because it has some issues too, and that is Rust in the Root by Justina Ireland. Justina Ireland's best known for her Dread Nation duology, which I really, really loved. Um, Rust in the Root is another kind of historical fantasy, like alternate history. It's set in the US, but it's set in the US in a time where like magic and I read it a bit ago now, so I'm trying to mechamancy or something like that. So there's like natural magic, like making things grow and manipulating different natural elements. And there's like mechanical magic, which we would see as kind of like the Industrial Revolution for magic. But when the industrial magic started to be more prevalent, parts of the country started to go into these like I want to call them drought areas, but they're not exactly drought areas. They're basically disturbed areas where people can't leave, like stuff doesn't grow and all this happens. And our main character is a girl who wants to use her magic to become a baker in the city of New York. But things aren't going well. She's not able to, because of both sexism and racism, she's just not able to find a way to make a living. So she ends up joining this like magical corpse, not like dead people, but like corps, like a band of mostly Afro-American people who have magic, who get licensed to practice it in defense of the country. So they have to go into these disturbed areas and try to like quell the disturbance there so that it doesn't spread. So it's very, very interesting. I think my main issue, like I really love the idea in the world building, and a lot of other people have said this too. My main issue with it was it's really dense. Like there is a lot of information flying at you about this complex world and the history of it and all the magic systems. And it almost starts to overwhelm the story a little bit, like all this information dumping. However, that being said, I thought it was very unique and creative, and I really enjoyed digging into it. And I did enjoy the characters and kind of how the whole story unfolds. I would love to see more books in this world, and I think that this book would have been amazing if it had been broken up into at least a duology or something where you could have gotten to know the characters a little bit better and enjoyed the plot a little bit more, because this was just thrown at you so quickly. But I really did love it, and I think I ended up giving it 4.5 or 5 stars because it was really, really well done. So there's that. And that's pretty much it. Those are the best books I read in November. I didn't read quite as much in November. I'm still getting caught up on stuff after studying for the patent faller all year. And honestly, I've been spending more time playing video games and stuff like that. I did. So for other stuff I've been doing, I did finish Stray and ended up platinuming it. I went ahead and did this. The last thing I had to do was do the speed run, and I did the speed run and had 15 minutes to spare. So yay. But that was a bit of time and preparation, just running through the parts that I was having some trouble with and trying to get those fast enough to get the platinum medal for that. I also finished A Fisherman's Tale, which is a VR game on the Quest. You're kind of like a wooden puppet who sees yourself in multiple size regimes. So like there's a model that you see yourself in, and there's a house you're in, and then there's a bigger house outside of your house that you see yourself in. Anyways, and you're trying to solve puzzles to light the lighthouse so that this big storm that comes in doesn't wipe you out. The only thing that was a very interesting game. It's pretty short. It probably was only 3 hours or so of gameplay. The one thing I will say is if you get motion sick, there's a part where you're on a boat in a storm, and I thought I was gonna puke. It was not cool. But for the most part, I like that game as well. I am going to try to start Moss Book 2, which is probably the next one I will play. Aside from that, I got some other VR games to try. I've been playing some Arizona Sunshine, and I've been still doing, of course, Beat Saber. I also got Smash Drums, which it's okay. It's not my favorite. It's a little bit like Rock Band for drums with one person. But and it's okay. It's just a little weird because the way they have it set up. I would normally play something like that standing, but if you play the normal mode, not the arcade mode, you kind of have to sit down. Otherwise, like the drums are like too low down, and I can't figure out how to adjust it. So anyway, so that's kind of what I've been doing aside from reading and of course working. And getting ready for Christmas, all that fun stuff. We have been pretty busy on the weekends. My son hockey season has started up again. And so we're doing a lot of running around for that and trying to meet friends and family and for the holidays and, doing our Pathfinder game days and board game days. And my son is starting to do organized board game days for his friends. So it's just been kind of busy. Lots of gaming, all types. We are non-discriminate as far as our gaming goes. We like board games, video games, role-playing games. We do them all. So aside from that, I'm just sitting here. I'm looking at, we're having a really big snowstorm right now in Minnesota. We got a few inches yesterday, and it was like freezing rain that turned into freezing rain that turned into sleet that turned into snow, and now it is just snowing like crazy. It's very beautiful out. Whenever you get that layer of like ice on the trees and then it snows on top of it, you get like this frosted snow coating on all the trees and branches, which looks pretty cool. Happy I'm able to stay at home though, because it's gonna be a huge mess outside. Other than that, not too much exciting going on. We're just getting ready for the holidays. I will try to do a stack in the shelves next Saturday, and I do need to do updates on I did finish the top 20 books I wanted to read this year, and I also finished the top 10 new authors I wanted to read this year. So I'll have to do an update on those, but that might not come until later. I don't know, maybe early January. So that being said, I hope that you guys had a great month of reading in November and into December here. And if you had any great books that you really loved, feel free to comment down below. I'm always looking for new books to read, and I will talk to you later. Bye.